Now, I know that the Pixel 8 has come out and a lot of people have forgotten about the little old Pixel 7, but what if I told you guys that this phone has a new home in the smartphone market? Now, the Pixel 8 has been a really good upgrade from the Pixel 7. It has a higher refresh rate, better cameras, and more quality features that makes the phone feel even newer. And with all this stuff that the Pixel 8 added, many of us have forgotten how good of a phone the Pixel 7 has been, and that's the reason why I say that it's still good enough to have a new home. And basically what I'm saying is that the Pixel 7 can be the new Pixel 7a, a cheaper budget phone that is a step down from the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro, but can give you better value since it is at a cheaper price. The Pixel 7 is much better than the 7a, it has a better experience, and since the 7 is going on sale for around $400, I think it's the perfect phone for someone who doesn't want to break the bank. And my favorite part about the Pixel 7 is that it's a higher quality, which in turn means that it will last you longer. And that's why I wanted to share my experience with the Pixel 7 to help you guys decide whether or not it's worth buying. Now, ever since 2022, the Pixel 7 has always been able to give me solid battery life. I even picked it up recently to test it out. Until this day, I'm still getting 4 to 6 hours of screen time, and this phone is still lasting me all day. This time around, I used it more heavily, playing a good amount of Asphalt 9. I used my Pixel 7 to check my Instagram and TikTok to see how my videos were doing, and I even spent a ton of time watching YouTube videos. And most of the time, I'm getting 6 hours, and on days when I was working, I would be closer to 4, and usually by the end of the day, I managed to end most of my days with about 5 to 10%, which was pretty solid for a phone that's a year old. On days where I extended my time to 6, I mainly would utilize the power saving mode in the morning, especially when I was binge watching videos on YouTube, but most days, I used it to full battery capacity. The Pixel 7 supports 20 to 23 watt charging, but I used my 30 watt charger to charge it. It's honestly pretty slow. There were times where I tried to charge it during the day, and it would take damn near 2 hours, but if you can get the Pixel 7 for $400, it's not that much of a deal breaker. Wireless charging was basically useless for me. Whenever I would put my Pixel 7 on it, the phone would start to get pretty hot and it charged significantly slower, so I pretty much gave up on it. And whenever I use my Pixel 7, I always keep the more battery consuming software features on, like always on display, my Pixel being able to tell me a song that's playing in the background, and 5G to name a few. Now, looking at the build quality after a year, the Pixel 7 has held up extremely well. I rarely got any drops out of it, and the only problem with it is the glossy back because this material attracts more fingerprints. But again, if you can get this phone for $400, even a plastic back would be good. Overall, the Pixel 7 still has a premium look, and thanks to the Pixel 8 looking just like it, having the same camera bar, back, and same looking display, it also looks just as new. The Pixel 7's size is also holding up extremely well. It's the same size as the iPhone 15 and Galaxy S23, and I would say that personally, it's the most comfortable to hold. It's the most rounded, and it's also light, so it felt good to hold it for a long amount of time. The flat display has always been a personal favorite. The buttons are very clicky and premium. The ports and mics are very discreet. And despite the fact that it's not a top flagship phone, I still consider it to have a very quality feel. In terms of weight and feel in hand, the Pixel 7 is actually 10 grams heavier than the Pixel 8, and personally, I like this since the heavier phones have always felt more premium in my opinion. It's not a major difference, but you can feel the slight heaviness. Either way, it resulted in a very comfortable feel, so I had no complaints. The Pixel 7's durability is solid, Gorilla Glass on the back and front, and while I know it won't crack, my main concern is the sides. See, if you drop it on a surface like concrete and it lands on the sides, I can see it easily getting scratched up. So if you do plan on buying a Pixel 7, I would advise you guys to get a case. The scratch resistance is very poor. My Pixel 7 and 7 Pro have been getting little scratches easy, and it happens at the slightest convenience, like when you sit it face down on a wooden table. But besides that, the Pixel 7 has a pretty good build quality that is doing much better than I thought it would do a year ago. Now moving on to display, the Pixel 7's display has actually improved since the price has gone down. And what I mean by that is that since this phone has gotten cheaper, the 6.1-inch 90Hz refresh rate is most definitely a step up compared to phones in this price range like the Pixel 7a. For the price that you're getting, the resolution is top tier, the colors are great, and the overall visual experience is basically the same as the new Pixel 8. So you're basically getting a very identical display that is not only a step up from budget phones, but it's also holding up very strong, so its longevity has definitely proven itself. And right here, I'm going to show you guys 3 different types of videos to really show how the colors look. Right here is a cartoon, and as you can see, the colors have a really nice pop. I wanted to show you guys a sports game to show off its nice resolution. And finally, I wanted to show you guys a regular video on YouTube so that you can see how it looks when watching any type of video. And as you guys can see, the viewing experience is still really good, and you're basically getting the same looking display as the Pixel 8 for a much cheaper price. Screen real estate was not an issue whatsoever. The very tiny hole punch camera barely gets in the way when watching videos. Using swipe gestures is great as well because there are no extra buttons on my display, and it really knows how to use as much screen as possible. The brightness is a step down from the Pixel 8, but it's still very bright. 1400 nits of peak brightness is solid. I was able to see the display very well whenever I went outside, and even inside the house, it gave me no problem. Another step down from the Pixel 8 is that it has a lower refresh rate. 90Hz will never be as smooth as 120, but again for the price, it's still a step up from the 60Hz on the 7a, which is a new lane for the Pixel 7. The responsiveness is still very sharp, everything I moved and pressed on responded very fast, and a year later, the Pixel 7 is still as good as new. The fingerprint sensor is pretty bad compared to the Pixel 8 or any other phone in 2023, and this was my biggest gripe with the Pixel 7 and 6 series. I honestly prefer facial recognition, and that's not saying much either. And speaking on the facial recognition, it only worked during the daytime. So at night, I basically had to use my passcode to unlock my phone. Now moving on to speakers, I'm not going to say that the Pixel 7 speakers are terrible, but I will say that they are very low and have good quality. So basically they're mid at best. Many times I'm turning the volume all the way up and still become disappointed. Now moving on to camera, the Pixel 7 easily has the best camera in its price range. The pictures and videos basically look the exact same as the Pixel 8s. And as always, Pixel phones have always been good at capturing darker skin tones. The blur is minimized while still looking good, and the added lighting wasn't too much. Night mode photos are okay at best. I just wish that the software was a little bit better at handling lighting, but other than that, for this price, they're much better than the competition. The Pixel 7 zoom photos look really good. The sharpness was still there, the lighting was still well kept, and I was thoroughly impressed how the Pixel 7 zoom photos hold up to even the Pixel 8 Pro. Inside photos didn't disappoint either. The selfies were very nice since I went where I could get the best lighting, and they were basically the exact same as my Pixel 8. Outside photos with different objects and environments stood out the most, and I feel like this is where the Pixel is at its best, not only in terms of quality, but also in terms of photo editing. Now the videos on the Pixel 7 were good, but not great. My face will look weird at times, but other than that, the outer camera did its best work. You can shoot videos up to 4K and up to 60 frames per second, which is pretty standard. Many times I like to use my Pixel as my secondary camera when shooting videos, and the 7 still holds up very well. The stabilization was good, and there were plenty of options when it came to different modes that you could use. And I want to show you guys my footage with the Pixel 7 so that you can judge it for yourself. And alright you guys, that's it for my review on the Pixel 7. It's the best phone in its price range, and I think that at this point, it's in a league of its own. It's always amazed me how Pixel phones drop in price after the next generation comes out. And that's why I like to say that the Pixel is the only phone that increases in value. It takes a step down in price while being so much better than a new budget phone it now has to compete with. And let me know down in the comments, do you think that the Pixel 7 is the best budget phone in the smartphone market? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.